What do you get when you mix South Africa's biggest broadcaster, the continent's most prestigious creative awards, and a week-long celebration of innovation, design, and storytelling? You get the Luries Awards 2025, baby. And this year, it's bigger, brighter, and bolder than ever. The Luries have been around for more than 4 decades, setting the gold standard for creativity in Africa and the Middle East. Think of them as the Oscars of advertising, but with a whole lot more African flair, rhythm, and storytelling power.
Yes, good morning to you and a very warm welcome to Cape Town, of course, the Cape Town office of the SABC, where I'm joined by two very important guests this morning. First is the CEO of the Luries, as you've mentioned there, Mr. Pritesh, Suraj, and of course, the SABC's group CEO, Ms. Nomsa Chabedi, of course, will be speaking about this exciting partnership between the SABC and the Luries. Of course, we know that it's not quite a new partnership. The Luries almost as old there, Pritesh, as SABC TV, over 40 years. And that, of course, is celebrating excellence as well as innovation in the brand communication space. But let me bring in now our GCEO first. A very warm good morning to you. Of course, always good to speak to you. Let us start, and I think I've alerted you to this. You are coming with exciting news today. Not just is it the partnership with the Luries, of course, but the SABC has a second consecutive clean audit finding from the Auditor General. This must be exciting news for you to share.
Thank you so much, and good morning to you and good morning to everyone. Yes, the SABC for the second consecutive year has an unqualified audit outcome, which is testament to the SABC's internal controls and strengthened governance. And this is critical for us, in an era where we're moving forward to find a sustainable funding solution for the SABC. And therefore, the SABC having such an outcome gives comfort, especially to our partners, that the SABC is committed to an improved governance within the organization.
So what exactly does this mean, I think, for future sustainability as well as future financial viability of this organization?
I think what's important about this is to show the leadership of the SABC is really paying attention to the levers that matter. If you think, last year was the first time in 14 years that we got an unqualified outcome, and we know the challenges that the SABC has experienced in recent times. And this type of outcome shows the progress that has been made with the oversight of the SABC board. And what's important is that, as we know, the SABC is a very commercialized public broadcaster. In fact, it's the most commercial public broadcaster in the world. Therefore, we depend on commercial revenue in order for us, to sustain the activities of the organization. And when we get such an outcome, we give comfort to not just, the financial markets, but importantly also to our advertisers, to say that their money is safe with the SABC because this is an organization that is well run, this is an organization that has good governance, and this is an organization that really wants to position SOEs as centers of excellence, and the fact that we are able to deliver on this important public mandate despite the challenges that we face.
So let me just give us 1 second, please, Nomsa, if I can just chat to my other guest, of course, Pritesh, Suraj, mentioning there the GCEO, the importance of advertising. And of course, we know that when we talk Luries, we're talking about excellence in innovation, in the brand communication space, and advertising and design, of course, very important in that aspect. So let us just start with what the Luries are all about. Over 40 years, it started out as supporting advertising in television news, and of course we've come quite a long way since television being the prime or only platform really for advertising in the advertising space. Where are we currently with the Luries and its significance still at this juncture?
Yeah, good morning and thanks for having me on. I think one of the key things with Luries does is we celebrate every single touch point that you have to be able to reach and speak to consumers. And obviously as mediums evolve, and as I said, we did start off in radio and television, all the space, and those are so intrinsically important to societies across South Africa as well. So we want to ensure that those are exceptionally strong, and then also enhancing that with digital offerings, out of home, all of these kind of spaces. But essentially in a unified media environment, what we're looking for is how do we ensure that consumers across South Africa, and for us, across Africa and the Middle East, have the best knowledge to be able to navigate a complex purchasing environment.
So, of course, we know that you've said to me just now over 2,000 entrants this year, and we know that the award ceremony happens on Friday. But, of course, if I can just bring in Ms. Chabedi once again, an exciting partnership, of course. We know that there is a masterclass happening. We know that, as always, we are in the middle of Creative Week with the Luries 2025. So the extent of involvement of this partnership of the SABC in Luries, talk us through how important this is for the organization, and also just some of the events that you will be sponsoring, supporting. I know that one of them is the category film and radio, if I'm not mistaken.
So as part of SABC's public mandate, we drive social cohesion in this country, and we tell, proud South African stories. Nothing tells a South African story like its brand communications. The brands that are here at, Creative Week that are going to be awarded for their excellent and innovative work in the next couple of days tell those beautiful South African stories. And therefore, it makes sense for the SABC to partner with the Luries, because we are by far one of the most important platforms where that content gets broadcast and gets to South African households, to South African, viewers, to South African listeners. And this weekend, we sponsor two of the biggest categories, for example, which is radio and film. And they've always been very important categories within the Luries. And the SABC will be there, showcasing the innovation. South Africa's creative arts industry is a very important industry, and SABC, by virtue of just us giving the platforms for all the languages, for example, in this country, we've got 19 radio channels, we've got 5 television channels, and the fastest growing OTT streaming platform, which is SABC Plus. By virtue of that reach, of that strength, the content that is produced within this industry then finds, expression on our platforms. And that is why the SABC is here. We truly believe in the creative industry. We believe that they tell a beautiful South African story, that they are archivists, just like SABC is South Africa's greatest archivist, but they are also archivists of the South African story. And this partnership, we believe that will grow the industry and will bring young people into the industry to ensure its sustainability, and the fact that the South African, the African story is front and center.
And talking about storytelling, of course, we know that I've spoken to Pritesh just now. He was talking about storytelling in the brand communication space, really looking towards shaping society. I mean, let's just elaborate on that. What important message do you think, important role does this play in terms of shaping society?
Yeah, I think it's so important. Cultural narratives that we have in terms of the industry, what we do is we reflect what's happening in culture, but also then we also shape culture as well overall itself. And therefore, as Nomsa is highlighting, the importance of storytelling and the importance of the relationship with the SABC itself is that when you want to tell those stories, you need the vehicles, you need the avenues to be able to do so. Without the vehicles and all of the various languages, the various mediums such as film and radio, what we lose out is that diversity of thought, and we lose these beautiful stories from our society itself. And so therefore, I think one of the key things that we're able to deliver with this partnership and deliver with the SABC in general is this ability to go to this industry and say, feel free to tell the stories that really matter to South Africa. Feel free to tap really deeply into the zeitgeist of what's happening and to those deep cultural nuances, and let's celebrate it and ensure that those are not forgotten.
Pritesh, Suraj, and of course the CEO of the Luries, as well as my other guest, the GCO of the SABC, joining me here today for this exciting news happening amid an exciting creative week for the Luries 2025, and of course that partnership, just speaking to the importance thereof and also what it means both to the Luries as well as to the public broadcaster.
Well, thank you so much, Vanessa.
Now, the Luries aren't just about trophies and champagne. They're about ideas that shape how we see the world, how brands communicate, and how stories connect people across borders. And this year, the SABC has once again partnered with the Luries for Creative Week 2025, happening right now in the vibrant city of Cape Town. The partnership isn't new. It's one that celebrates a shared mission to champion creativity, innovation, and authentic African storytelling. So let's take you straight into the action. Picture this: Cape Town's creative energy buzzing, top minds from the advertising and brand communication industries gathering under one roof, and SABC reporter Vanessa Puna right in the middle of it all. She's joined by two powerhouse guests, the SABC's Group Chief Executive Officer Nomsa Chabedi and the Luries Chief Executive Officer Pritesh Suraj. Together, they break down why this partnership matters so much, not just for the creative industry, but for South Africa's cultural and economic future. Now here's the fun part. The broadcast starts with a small hiccup. Vanessa's live feed cuts for a moment. You know how live TV can be, but soon enough she's back, smiling from ear to ear, ready to dive into what's shaping up to be one of the most inspiring creative weeks on the continent. She opens with a warm Cape Town welcome and introduces her guests, and right away the energy feels electric. Nomsa Chabedi starts off by sharing some huge news. The SABC has just received its second consecutive clean audit from the Auditor General. That's a big deal. For an organization that's often under public scrutiny, getting back-to-back unqualified audit outcomes shows serious progress. It's a sign that the SABC's internal controls and governance have become stronger, and that its leadership is focused on sustainability and transparency. Nomsa explains that this success gives confidence not only to financial markets, but also to advertisers, the very heartbeat of any broadcaster. She highlights that the SABC is actually the most commercialized public broadcaster in the world, relying on commercial revenue to sustain its operations. So when the SABC achieves this kind of clean record, it sends a clear message. Your money is safe here, your content is in good hands, and this organization knows how to get things done the right way. And then Pritesh Suraj steps in, the man leading the Luries. With over 40 years of history, the Luries have evolved from simply celebrating great TV ads to recognizing creativity across every touchpoint: digital, radio, film, out-of-home, and beyond. Suraj makes a great point. In today's world, creativity isn't just about making something look good. It's about creating connections. It's about helping people navigate a complex consumer environment through storytelling that feels real, relatable, and culturally grounded. He shares that this year the Luries received over 2,000 entries, proof that Africa's creative spirit is not just alive but thriving. These are campaigns, designs, and stories that reflect who we are as Africans: bold, innovative, and unafraid to push boundaries. Vanessa then turns the conversation back to the SABC CEO, asking about the broadcaster's specific involvement this year. Nomsa explains that as part of its public mandate, the SABC promotes social cohesion and proudly South African storytelling. And nothing tells a South African story quite like its brands, the same brands being honored at the Luries this week. It makes perfect sense for the SABC to partner with the Luries because they're both in the storytelling business. The Luries honor those who craft the message, while the SABC delivers those messages to millions of South Africans in every language, every province, and now even online through its growing OTT platform, SABC+. Nomsa highlights that the SABC is sponsoring two of the biggest categories this year, radio and film, both central to the country's creative heartbeat. These categories are not just about commercials or ads. They're about emotion, impact, and identity. They showcase how creativity in media can move people, shape culture, and spark change. And that's what this partnership is all about, shining a light on creativity that reflects South Africa's diversity and depth. The SABC provides the platform, while the Luries spotlight the people behind the ideas. It's a beautiful, symbiotic relationship, and both organizations share a vision of nurturing the next generation of creative talent. Then, Vanessa steers the discussion to something a bit deeper: storytelling and its role in shaping society. Pritesh takes it from there, explaining that brand communication doesn't just mirror culture, it influences it. The ads we see, the slogans we repeat, the visuals that stick with us, they all feed into our collective identity. And when those stories are rooted in authenticity, they have the power to unite people, challenge perceptions, and inspire pride. He emphasizes how critical diversity is in storytelling. Without platforms like the SABC broadcasting in multiple languages and reaching people in every corner of the country, many of those stories would go untold. And that's the beauty of this partnership. It gives creators the confidence to dig deep, to tell stories that matter, and to express the full richness of African life and imagination. By the end of the conversation, one thing becomes crystal clear. The Luries aren't just awards. They're a movement, a celebration of African excellence, innovation, and authenticity. They remind the world that creativity here isn't just about entertainment or marketing. It's about identity. It's about how Africa tells its story to the world, with power, passion, and purpose. And the SABC, with its reach, influence, and renewed commitment to good governance, is the perfect partner to amplify that. Together, they're proving that when creativity meets accountability, you don't just make great ads, you make history. So as the Luries Creative Week 2025 unfolds in Cape Town, it's not just an event, it's a statement. A reminder that Africa's creative industry is thriving, that its storytellers are some of the best in the world, and that partnerships like this one can help shape the cultural and creative legacy of generations to come. As Vanessa signs off from Cape Town, you can feel the energy, the pride, the excitement, and the sense that this is only the beginning. The Luries have always celebrated creativity, but this year, they're celebrating something even bigger. The power of collaboration, storytelling, and the unstoppable rise of African creativity. Because in the end, creativity isn't just about ideas, it's about people, stories, and the courage to see the world differently. And that's exactly what the Luries and the SABC are celebrating together this week.